Hi everyone, welcome to Health and Wellness. My name is Taylor Lumpkin, and today we're joined by celiac disease expert Alice Bast, who is also the president and CEO of Beyond Celiac. So Alice, thank you so much for joining us today, and let's just get right into it. Can you just tell us a little bit about what celiac disease is?
Sure, Taylor. Thank you so much for interviewing me. Celiac disease is a serious genetic autoimmune disease. And when someone has celiac disease, what happens is when they eat gluten, which is the protein component in wheat, rye, and barley, it sets off that autoimmune reaction. And it causes all kinds of inflammation to the body and long-term health consequences, such as it can lead to cancer, other autoimmune diseases. But if you go to our website at beyondceliac.org, there's a symptom checklist, and it tells you how to get tested for celiac disease, which is a simple blood test.
Okay, and can you just explain who is at risk and how is a person diagnosed with celiac?
Sure. So the people that are most at risk for celiac disease is 30 to 40% of the population, because it is a genetic autoimmune disease, and about 1% of the population expresses the disease. And if the blood test comes up positive, then they'll go in and do something called an endoscopy, where they look at the villi in your intestines.
Okay, and you've just changed the name of the organization from the National Foundation for Celiac Awareness to Beyond Celiac. Can you tell us what promoted the change?
Basically, 12 years ago, when I started the National Foundation for Celiac Awareness, we were looking to raise awareness of celiac disease and wanted treatment options and a cure for celiac disease. But before we could do that, we had to make sure there was access, availability, and affordability to gluten-free foods. And we've been very successful in making sure that there are gluten-free products on the supermarket shelves. But now, the time has come. We need to go beyond the gluten-free diet trend. So many people don't understand that the gluten-free diet is the only treatment option for a serious genetic autoimmune disease called celiac disease. We need to go beyond the fact that that there is just a dietary treatment for celiac disease. We want a cure for celiac disease by 2025. And by changing our name, we're not just going to eat gluten-free. We want to go beyond and make sure we have a cure. We want researchers to invest invest researching into understanding celiac disease, and we want the community to take the disease seriously. It's really important that if you're diagnosed with celiac disease, that you know that you have a serious genetic autoimmune disease, you take the gluten-free diet seriously, and you make sure that all your family members get properly tested.
Great. And are all celiac patients told to follow a gluten-free diet?
Hopefully all celiac patients are told to follow a gluten-free diet. But what happens is many times the community is a self-diagnosed community, which means that they're just putting themselves on a gluten-free diet, and they might be a self-managed community as well, so they don't go to see their doctors. And we want to make sure that we go from a community that is just taking this as, oh, I'm on a gluten-free diet, to getting that diagnosis. So they go see the doctor and they insist that they're diagnosed. They have the proper care, and then we want to be able to advance research to a cure, with a goal of a cure for celiac disease by 2025.
Great. And your website, beyondceliac.org, is very interactive and provides a wealth of resources. When people visit that website, what do you want them to gain from their visit?
We want our community to gain from the visit, first of all, that they understand that celiac disease is a serious genetic autoimmune disease. Their family members need to be tested. We want to make sure that they are empowered to live life to the fullest. So they're empowered to have the resources that they need in order to live a gluten-free, life safely, so that they can eat without fear, they can take their medications without fear, and then we want to make sure that they're participating in research. So we want to make sure our community is sharing their data and they're sharing information with us, so that we can help advance the research towards a cure. Basically, we see ourselves in the center here. We want to work with the families, the caregivers, the clinicians, the scientists, the government, all together, so we can advance the disease.
Great. And with the gluten-free diet, is there any other kind of treatment options available to patients diagnosed with celiac?
Taylor, that's a great question. Right now, the gluten-free diet And 100% gluten-free diet is the only treatment option for those of us with celiac disease. But just think about it. When you wake up in the morning, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you have to worry about every particle of food that goes in your mouth. You have to worry about everything, every time you're taking your medication, you have to read labels and you have to be always on call. And it's not so easy. Just think about when you go into, let's say, a college food service environment and you see all that food around, being served. You can't use a fryer that has fried other foods that contain gluten. You can't even have one particle of gluten in your food because that'll set off an autoimmune reaction. And we know that at least half of our community is continuing to get gluten exposure, which causes long-term health consequences and can lead to, as I said earlier, can lead to things like cancer and other autoimmune diseases.
Okay.
But many times, the patients will, they don't worry about something like cross-contact. And they don't realize that they have a serious genetic autoimmune disease. And then what happens is they might follow a gluten-free diet, but they may not be empowered to speak up for themselves and make sure when they go into that restaurant or when they're in the college or university, that they make sure that when they stick that knife into the peanut butter and they put it on the bread and somebody puts that knife back into the peanut butter, that's cross-contact. And they can't eat from that jar of peanut butter. And they have to know they shouldn't take those risks. So they could be told they're following a strict gluten-free diet, but it really has to be strict. And that's why we need therapeutic treatment options and we need a cure.
Okay. And with all the many products now available, do you think it's a lot easier than it once was to follow the diet?
Oh, life has gotten so much better. Believe me, when I was first diagnosed, I ordered my food from Canada. I went to support group meetings. I didn't even know what the word gluten meant, and I would tell people I'm on a gluten-free diet and they would just look at me. And now I say I'm on a gluten-free diet and there is affordability, there's availability, there's access to gluten-free foods. It's better for the schools and the universities, such as where, our kids are all attending. But it's really, right now, the time is right. We're at a tipping point where celiac disease has to go, the gluten-free diet can't be taken as a casual diet. It really is a treatment for a serious genetic autoimmune disease.
And do you feel that the gluten-free diet is enough?
I feel the gluten-free diet is not enough. Unfortunately, studies have shown us that over half the community is getting accidental gluten exposure, which causes inflammation, which can then lead to other genetic autoimmune diseases and even cancer, such as lymphoma, thyroid cancer.
Okay. And how can people learn about the organization and also get involved?
Oh, we hope that everyone will go to beyondceliac.org and they can learn all about the Beyond Celiac, and they also can get involved. There's many ways that they can participate in the activities that we're doing. They can download recipes. They can and they can also participate in research. They can opt into research so that all of our lives will be improved. And if you go to beyondceliac.org's website, you could see the symptom checker, download that symptom checklist, and get tested.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time and meeting with us, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for the interview, and I hope you will check out beyondceliac.org.
Thank you.